you working on here?
Lunch. This is a monumentous occasion. This is the first lunch I'm gonna make and take to work because so far multiple people at work and my mother have told me to stop missing lunch because meetings tend to go long and I never get a chance to eat. So I end up eating like a bag of Doritos. So now I'm gonna have an apple and a sandwich. This is my first title as game director. First time in the chair of game director. I expected it to be hard work, but the sheer volume of work and the amount of stuff you have to carry in your head and be on about all the time is staggering. It's huge. I'm such a fucking horrible sandwich maker. This shows my true inexperience. I want to take what we started and push it 10 times further, you know, get more of the story, more of the mythology embedded in while picking up all the things that we felt, wow, we could have really done this better. All right, all set for school. You know, it's my face and my name out there that if this is bad, I'm the guy. You're the guy that fucked up God of War, you know, like that weighs heavily. I truly believe that we are putting absolutely everything we can into this thing.
First, want to apologize for my voice. It's a little rough. I was in Phoenix yesterday watching a football game, so it'll be cracking on and off. Go Rams. Where's Ken? Ken? Anyway. Am I scared or nervous about doing the job? Yes, terrified. But the reality, and the good fortunate thing is, only when I get a chance to think about it. I'm not given much opportunity to think about it.
We're starting to get to the point where we have a lot of stuff done, and it's going to be cool to start showing it to everybody.
For the most part in the project, I'm, kind of an information person, going to different departments and like a sponge, soak up as much information as I can so I can direct people in the proper way. It's very, very challenging. At times it can be incredibly stressful, like right now.
Let's get back to it.
It's Rita calling from Sony. In terms of our new leads in the departments, and they're rising from a senior level environment artist to an art director, from an art director to a producer, from a lead animator to a game director. It's really a testament to the level of skill that each individual brings, that they have that multifaceted background, or at least the drive to pursue something and pursue it at 110%.
So you can't jump onto the chain until you activate it. The way a game director works at Sony, you gotta have your hands in everything. Maybe much to the dismay of some of the other people, you're the quality control, you're the check to make sure that everything stays within the realm, the mythos that we've created with God of War. I'm in meetings right from when I get in, probably till about 7 or 8, sometimes later than that at night, and then I actually have other work that I have to get done, instead of just sitting around talking like a gas bag. So it sounds like I'm bitching about it, but you know what? It's not, I'm totally into it, I love it, but it's definitely bigger than I had ever imagined.
One of the biggest new elements I've had to mentally deal with is the idea that as a producer, you're essentially everyone's boss, so you do wield a considerable amount of quote-unquote power. From the creative side of things, it's probably the one thing I have to constantly put a check on. From where I came from, I was way more involved in the creative. That's nice. As a producer, every time I make a comment on the creative, I have to make sure that I'm cautioning it with the idea of, hey, look, this is one creative mind coming to you with an opinion.
This scene is so fucked up, it doesn't, it's like, where do you start?
There's a lot to be learned about just interacting with people and keeping my cool as much as I can, and not trying to offend people. Like on the last project, and up until I started as an art director, I was very blunt and kind of, sometimes I might have had kind of like, a fuck it attitude, but now I have to be a lot more political about things. And it's actually like, the more I do it, the more I understand it, the more I enjoy it.
Something that we decided when we originally started the Santa Monica studio was to go for a very open plan office, so that everyone sits in an enormous room. There are very low dividers between different people's desks. We try and keep people sitting next to the people that they are directly working with. So, the combat guys have most to do with the animators, so they sit next to the animators. Production's sat slap bang in the middle of the floor. They basically can see everyone moving around. Everyone is near to the production department. The programmers are all sitting next to each other, and we sit near to the technical artists because they're people that we spend an enormous amount of time communicating with. So, the entire structure of the studio really aims at fostering easy communication that doesn't rely on email and doesn't rely on chance encounters in the hallway. It's very important that you make people talk to each other, and this seems to be a very good way of doing it.
Upon my initial observation, it was like, holy cow, everybody is there, and my desk in particular is right on the kind of the main thoroughfare, like I-5 running down the middle of sunny Santa Monica. So, I hear everybody walk by, I hear everybody's conversations. I prefer it just because, I can give Steve shit, or I can give Todd Pappy shit on my left, or whatever. I mean, for that, it's kind of a nice break than just locking yourself in your office.
First coming here, I liked everything about the place except for that aspect of it. Is sitting in a big, basically like a gymnasium with a bunch of desks in it, and like you could hear like half of what people are talking about all over the place, and it might be kind of hard to get focused, but it really does bring out that collaborative experience. It's in your face. You see what everybody else is doing, so you end up understanding inherently from working here and walking, to go get a soda or something like that. You get an understanding subliminally of what's going on in the game.
When we want to get something in the game as simple as Kratos, the main character, goes up to a giant column in the world and grabs it, and then when the player rapidly presses the circle button, he's going to be able to pull on it and then successfully pull the column down while the column breaks and shatters. There's enemies on top of it that end up falling and dying. Just that one sequence alone, you have to involve the level guys because they basically have to create the space in which it takes place in. Those level guys will also be modeling the column. Animation has to wait until that column gets designed. Then effects have to get put on it. Then a designer has to put it in and attach it to the buttons. And then a sound person has to come in and attach the sounds on top of that. If any special code has to get done, meaning a tool needs to get written in order to get this to happen, code has to be notified early on. Almost every single department has their hands on this thing, and this is a thing that could, basically take up a minute of gameplay. God of War 2 has about 70 people on it. We got a pretty big team. Each department within the game development process has their own lead, and each week we have leads meetings kind of discussing specifics of what's going on.
I will jump right in with Charlie's updates.
Great, okay. This title, Visual Development Director, is really kind of something that we wanted to test out because we really didn't have anything like this in our production pipeline. I really wanted to get all the visual development guys together because before there wasn't a lot of collaboration. We represent the whole minority group here. Yeah. Anyway, this is actually what it's like. I want to get an update on what you guys have been working on this week. Okay. If you guys have been working this week, why don't we start on this side? Eric, you want to just kind of run through some of the stuff that you've been working on?
All right. This is the Great Titan Oceanus concept that we've been working on. It's about camaraderie, I think, with the people that I work with. They constantly push me, and hopefully I push them.
How big is this guy right now?
He's huge. He's massive. It's just kind of about really enjoying yourself and really unleashing stuff in your mind to create something better than what we did before on God of War 1.
It'd be so cool if we can actually fly through all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think they were talking about that. I don't know if it's going to happen.
Would be cool.
I've been working on IO horses.
I'm definitely excited that I get to be part of, a team that gets to create this, world that people are going to see. It's just another take on Greek mythology, so it's really cool.
Cool. Let's get back to work. To be able to form a team that we can really feel comfortable to, to say anything, whether it's, critiquing each other's work or just wanting to hang around with each other, that part of it I'm probably most proud of on this time around.
We switched gears and we started doing something completely different at the drop of a hat. And that happens all the time. My job is primarily managing the production side, the art, the content that actually goes into the game. And Charlie works to develop the content that we end up creating on paper first. The art group is comprised a number of different teams. There's the animators, there's cinematic animators, tech artists who basically do everything from create rigs for characters to create scripts to help environment artists model faster. Then we have environment artists, and we have character artists, and we have effects artists.
It's going to be tweakable, is what I understand. Programmers are implementing features and making tools for the artists and the designers, for that matter, to use. We don't write the game for them. We write the tools which they use to make the game themselves. And we've had enormously good results from doing this. We find that the artists are much better positioned to use all this cool stuff than programmers are.
And that's great, that's by design, but...
My job here entails managing the level design team, making sure they're on task and on track.
Level design is a lot about coming up with the puzzles and the layout and the pacing of an area and coming up with the themes and how they integrate with the story.
A really good puzzle is you come in, you know your objective, but you're not really quite sure how to reach that goal or objective. And it's kind of the process of going through and figuring out and having that aha moment, you know, like, oh, I get it. And then you're able to like go ahead and solve it. And as long as it's not too like hard, not too easy, it's finding that sweet spot.
Okay.
You can trigger a camera from the lever that would transition, and then when you've successfully completed the lever, it'll be already transitioned, so it won't be like a big cut.
All right.
The challenge for the designers is we really have to focus on making it fun. I mean, a lot of ideas are good in theory and they sound like they can be really cool, but taking it from a concept and a thought and an idea to actually making it work and playing it are such different things. Our job is to really nail, hey, is this fun? Is it challenging for the player?
Everything. I thought you only been focusing on animation.
No.
Well, yes.
Whole experience.
I'd say that the sound needs a total rework because the sounds of it crashing through, none of it sounds impressive. I want DTS 6.1. The best laid plans, you know, it is exactly the best phrase for it because it doesn't matter how well we plan something out. It doesn't matter how solid we think something is. When you get in there and you see it in 3 dimensions and you play it, you're like, wow. In my head and on paper, it felt different. We have to fix this, you know, we have to change this. I'll magnify that by 1,000 because it's every single aspect has the exact same result. Each department, you know, art, animation, characters, visual development, programming, and design, that was pretty sweet. Only the best here at Sony Computer Entertainment America. We hold things together with really important tape.
One of the areas that I'm most pleased with and surprised about is the fact that there are a lot of people that really banded around Corey and supported him through this endeavor. He's in a pressure situation, and without the team, he's left with nothing.
I gotta say, it's way better than it was before. But what I would like to think my reputation is, hey, this guy is very passionate and is constantly all about the game. Like, works tirelessly to find solutions in every possible aspect, and whatever is needed, I do to get the job done. What really most likely goes on is, meh, he's okay. He's a little bit easier to work with than Dave, but you know, he still changes his mind all the time and can't make up his mind about what he wants. If only he could choose what he wanted. But overall, he's pretty cool. You know, that's probably what it is. Mixed in with, I think he's a dick. I let them win this time to give them a full sense of security.
Corey's generally a pretty good guy to work with. There's been a few times, particularly towards the end of this project, where you could swear he's channeling Dave Jaffe sometimes. You know, he can be a very stubborn individual, but generally he's a pretty nice chap.
You know, we'll be sitting in a meeting and Corey will say something like, you know, whatever happened to the Golden Fleece or something like that. It's like, what? You know, everybody's like wondering what's going on with the Golden Fleece, and that becomes the new priority, and the priority isn't the Colossus anymore, it's the Golden Fleece. Well, the Colossus is a lot more important. The priorities change just like that on a dime, so it kind of changes the dimension of the team a little bit very quickly.
Corey's a handful, and yes, Corey can be flippant, but it's all well-meaning. I mean, Corey has a great vision, is making a great game. We're all here to support that vision. And you're going to have to change your mind a lot. You're going to have to keep pushing the edge. If something doesn't work that sounded great originally, you're going to have to change it. You might have to change that thing 15 times. I think that's why people can get frustrated with anybody in a creative position, especially one that is in a director position. I mean, everybody bitches about Stanley Kubrick, but he went out and made the finest films ever.
When is that on?
It's on PBS. It's like on PBS.
PBS?
Yeah.
Who watches fucking PBS? I thought people just pretended to watch PBS. Like, I watch the Discovery Channel, the History Channel, and PBS. That's really what I watch. But that's totally not true. You know that they watch like USA and every Lorenzo Lamas movie. We are experiencing some technical difficulties, so we're doing a redo and starting over.
Nice.
I'm ready.
So
this
is
going to start in odd 10.
That's very pretty.
Hello?
But
Does your wife do your ringtones for you, or what?
All right, start taping now.
We had a little glitch in the Cyclops mini game, so we had to start over, and I blame Joel Tobble for that. That's him right there, ladies and gentlemen.
The talent level of the team, just the amount of guys here that are able to produce art and animations and think of different crazy ideas to do with Kratos and the programmers. The talent level on the team has just been absolutely astonishing.
Although challenging and not easy and not perfect, I think the teamwork that's been going on for the past couple of years is something this whole studio should be proud of.
I've never met a group of people who are more enthusiastic and passionate about what they do.
Nobody really has an attitude or that's misplaced or anything like that. Everybody has this healthy level competition, and you know, you look over your shoulder to see what somebody else is doing, because maybe you can learn something from them.
When you see other environment artists and you go over at lunch or on a break and you check out what they're building and you take off ideas from them and they bounce off ideas with you and everyone's giving feedback. It keeps a little bit of healthy competition going, and at the same time it brings up the quality of the game.
This is a team that I think truly inspires each other.
You have to be on all the time, and if you're off, people notice and the work suffers. So, you know, you generally need to come in and have 5 good days, not a single bad day. Of course, that's not possible because we're human beings.
E3 is a big opportunity for media to get a glimpse into what's going on with the various software as well as hardware.
It's kind of an opportunity for developers to kind of show off.
It's bigger than Oscar night. I mean, it's huge. It's a chance where you get all these, you get all developers, you get all studios, you get all the gaming consoles like PlayStation, Xbox. Everyone's going to be there. It's hyped up. Everyone's psyched up. Everyone's just a fan of games.
We are about to go into our E3 meeting, sort of a pre-E3 update meeting to kind of get a status check from all the key leads of where we're at on the entire game. And this is actually going to be my first playthrough of the E3 builds all put together. And hope everything goes fantastic because we don't have that much time.
After I hit yes or no on the progressive scan, what's the next image that comes up?
Front end. Making demos for E3, it's kind of one of those necessary evils, and it's something that we decided we would embrace when we were working on God of War. We decided, you know, man, it sucks doing this, but you know, let's just make the best of it, because you know, if we're ever going to make this game successful, then you know, making the press notice it at E3 would be very important.
We start Corey first.
So this begins where?
This is the beginning, right there. E3 is important to God of War 2 because this is our opportunity to get the franchise out. We're kind of taking the training wheels off here and giving other people the controller and saying, you know, you play it the way you want to play it. We're going to have to gauge their reaction from that.
Why did that guy just disappear? Is this not working? I didn't do anything. I don't know if this is all the latest stuff, because I'm seeing older animations. That has to get worked out. What about the art on this area? I thought it was...
It's done.
Yeah.
Those little landing pads are missing.
Should we like check this stuff before we have a meeting like this?
Corey,
be more
we
effective.
were doing our best to do that.
I'm not saying you're not doing your best. I'm just saying, like, would it be more advantageous? There feels like a lot of stuff like this.
We wouldn't be having this discussion until 7 o'clock tonight.
If that's what it's gonna be, then it's what's gonna be, right?
No.
So, I don't know, maybe if there's a lighting thing to do to kind of call attention to it a little bit more. I really want people to walk away from this going, fuck, I really didn't think that they could make a game better than the first one. We're just gonna trigger the Medusa to fucking jump you at this point. Right out at you. Like, she's big enough that she essentially almost fills the front screen and she just, right there and attacks you.
Could she pop out?
Well,
could you, hold on.
From this angle, I don't want to swap angles. It'd probably be much lower to be more dramatic, but I want to stay in the hallway. I don't want to pop to other angles.
I understand. Player's here, she jumps out, scares him, knocks him, boom, and the camera keeps tracking towards the Medusa, so you get close up into her face and then cut.
That's a CS move. Can you do that?
It's not a trivial matter.
It's no longer simple.
It's a non-trivial matter.
It was a simple setup before, and it won't be if you do that.
Right.
It's really easy to go through a production and go, you know, okay, this is sort of working all the way. I'll get the last 10%, you know, when we start heading down. Problem with that kind of mentality is always that 10% turns into 50, 60, 70% because it's like, oh, well, what I thought was going to work didn't. Now I'm back to the drawing board. E3 allows us that opportunity to just go, we're going to get it all done, and it's got to be done all the way. And it kind of is a little wake-up call for a lot of people. I think that's great.
Well, Pegasus animations, just so the Pegasus himself feel like we're still in first pass with not a lot of stuff in there, and I thought we were going to be much further along.
This is the new God of War 2. This is going to be our signature piece.
Steve is the guy that has to basically jump in the middle of the firefight and calmly figure out how it's all going to get figured out. Bullets whizzing by all over the place, and he's got to figure out what's going to go on here. And, you know, I'm over there with like a Gatling gun just firing bullets all over the place, throwing grenades at him. You know, hey, we should change this. Let's put this over here. What if we had rain in this scene? This would be awesome. Budget's going up in his head, schedule's ballooning out of control, and I'm just, you know, like a kid who's found his dad's gun, firing it all over the place. He's not sitting around waiting for this problem to get solved on his own.
There's a lot of animation work to be done.
For whatever it's worth, it seemed like you've been talking a lot about like art and some animation stuff, but it seems like when you go through the level, there's no enemies in there.
There's
no
lot of
chests.
design work that has to go through.
Pegasus is like almost like completely undesigned at this point.
I totally disagree with that statement. You guys need to sit down and play Pegasus.
I played every day at Ray's desk. I mean, it's not.
Right.
It doesn't feel like.
Dude,
I'm not trying to start shit or anything. I'm just saying like we've been talking a lot about the